Good morning and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me, Sangha, and my fantastic co host, Morton. It's really bright and sunny in London for a change, and today we have another bright mind with us, Adam Keane, founder of Altra. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks very much for having me. It's great to be here today.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for joining us. So I've known Ultra for some time. Is that how you pronounce it? Ultra?
Yeah, Altra.
Altra.
And I've been following tabs or keeping tabs on you guys on social media, and of course on you. And I'd really begin with starting to hear more about you and Ultra.
Yeah, perfect. So, I'll tell you first about the name. So, Altra is actually Irish for nurse.
Oh,
And it was my sister who came up with the name for it. Trying to come up with names at the start, didn't have a clue, coming up with stupid names. And my sister was like, what about something Irish related? She looked up, was the domain available? It was. So I was like, perfect, that'll be the name.
Go with it.
fantastic.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a bit about Altra. We're a family engagement and resident experience app for care homes. So we help care homes share and provide meaningful connection between residents, their families, and the care home team. And to tell you where it all started was my family owned a care home here in Dublin for 30 odd years. It was my dad and my granddad who had originally built it. And I'd worked in there since I was 15, doing absolutely everything from gardening, maintenance, general work around it, to then finally graduating to some basic office admin during my later years in school. Um, and it was after a couple of years working in corporate finance after college that I had wanted to do something. I'd always wanted to do something in the social care space. And I basically just turned to my dad and I was like, okay, tell me your biggest problems. And that is literally where we started from. Asking him
Nice.
that question and then going on this journey.
That's truly inspiring to hear that that's how you started. Totally unaware of just that. I realized, of course, that you had a history with your family operating a care home, but I didn't realize at all that you'd been working in it and having served in your many different roles. That's truly incredible. So about yourself then, tell us more about you. You live in Dublin now.
Yeah, so we're Irish. Well, we're a remote company. I live in Dublin. We have team members on the west coast of Ireland, in France, in Romania, in Budapest as well. So we're a remote and diverse team. Bit more about myself. Yeah, as I was saying, I worked in corporate finance before this. That gave me a great experience in terms of like how companies were run from a high level perspective. But really, I think nothing prepares you for setting up or starting your own company and what that entails. I remember very funny at the start of the company when I first started on this journey and talking to my dad and others in the space that I knew about what we were going to do. And we actually started with a staff communication tool, not the family engagement side. That came 6 months after. But with the staff communication tool, I was like, okay, this will take us about 6 months to build the whole platform, and I won't need any more technology experience or building whatsoever. It's so easy. That's all it takes. But little did I know that I was very mistaken on that point.
So, Adam, do you think Altra is a tech company or is a comms or social care? How do you peg your
Um,
venture?
I would say we are a technology company solely focused in social care. So a social tech company, maybe. That's the way I would describe it.
Love that because I often struggle when I'm asked the same question: Are we a tech company? Are we a
Yeah.
service company? What are we? And I often say we are a social tech company. But then social tech is not like tightly defined as well, isn't it? Social tech often doesn't
Yeah.
consider that you can look at business productivity as one part of social tech too. So really happy to hear that from you.
Yeah, well, sure, you can call it anything there. It's so wide ranging, even in social care. It's only a small part of healthcare. So
Mm,
calling us a health tech company probably isn't correct either. It can be so narrowly defined.
Especially with the looking at Ultra and the type of users I imagine that you've got, you aren't you're very much on the social side of things. So I think it's that's a fair description, really.
Yes,
mm,
you're exactly right, Morton. What Altra helps care homes do is share the social activities. Everything is around the social side, not really the sharing of health information. You know,
mm, mm,
it's more about what activities are going on a weekly basis, what residents are doing in the home, and sharing that through videos, pictures, voice notes. Everything that you would expect in an app. Um, One way to think of it is actually it's almost like a marketing tool for the care home, because what you're
mm,
doing is arming the residents' families with an app specific to your home
Mm.
and sharing everything on the social side, what their loved ones are doing. You can imagine the scenario in a town where there's a care home. Mary's mother is in the local care home. She's going out for coffee with her friend, and she's saying, "Oh, Joan, look at this app that I have on my phone. It's brilliant. It shows me everything that my mum does on a weekly basis." That's the best way to describe it.
I think that's a really good description, and I think something that we've seen before the pandemic. Of course, we have to remember that, but throughout the pandemic, I can only imagine how this, for those that had already got Ultra in place, I can only imagine how vital this must have been, and how it has influenced the well-being of the people that have used it on both sides of the care home fence, so to speak.
Yes,
mm.
absolutely. And even now, sort of, I don't know, can we even call this post-pandemic? But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's still very important because families and residents are almost there's an expectation there that this is the information that they're getting on a daily, on a weekly basis. And instead of having the families ringing up constantly to try and find out, what did mum do today? Did she take part in the activities? You're giving them the ability to be able to share it on the go through the app.
Mm. And also, we often forget that when we talk about social care, it's actually made up of two words, social and care. And often the social side of care gets missed in that setting. We are always thinking, oh, okay, care and medication here, bathing there, some bits of food there. But we don't talk about the social, the life aspect, which I think your solution is greatly placed to provide that kind of frame of mind for conviction as well as peace, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point. So it is. Well-being of residents is super, super important. Not just the medical well-being, but as you
Mm,
said, the social well-being. Keeping connected with families, even though they are in a care home. That is very, very important for a resident's well-being.
Yeah, I think this may be anecdotal or it may be common knowledge. I don't know, but I seem to remember having read research about the hidden killer called loneliness, and that
mm,
but the researchers have definitely established the connection between loneliness and cognitive decline, dementia, etc. I mean,
mm.
Yes,
what
absolutely.
does something like this do, right? In that context, it of course helps prevent such things.
Yes, and there's
Absolutely.
sorry to cut across you. There's another point there as well, not just on the resident side, but this is something that would rarely get talked about. When a resident is moving into a care home for the first time, on the family side, there is always feelings of guilt
Mm,
around that, even though it is necessary for the residents'
Mm.
um, health well-being.
mm,
A tool like this, what this does, can alleviate those feelings of guilt because they still feel connected with the resident, whether they're 2 minutes down the road from the care home or in another country,
Yeah.
which happens a lot.
mm.
They can still feel connected, and it helps with though alleviating some of those feelings of guilt from a family perspective.
Hmm. And it has a circular effect as well, because where when the people who are receiving care, when they know that their feeds will be shared with their loved ones, they get more excited that all these things will be shared, so I will participate and engage with it more, as well. I think it has that halo effect on both sides as well.
Yes, absolutely. And another aspect of our tool is not just an app for the family or the care home itself, the team. It's actually for the residents. There's the resident tablet view, which is a simplistic view of everything that's going on. For residents that do have their own devices, this is something that is occurring more and more. Say 5 years ago, there might only be 1 in 100 residents that would
Mm,
have their own tablet or smartphone. But this isn't the case. And as we move on 5, 10 years down the road, this is something that will be part and parcel of every single resident when they're coming in, is having their own device and wanting to feel connected to what's
mm,
going on in the care home.
absolutely. And you are spot on, because as we, even us, for example, whenever we will be hitting such setting, would you imagine to be completely isolated? You won't, right? Because
No,
you
I need my live scores from all.
exactly.
Of course, yeah, from families. I'll be using Ultra. Yeah.
Exactly.
Ah,
A couple of things that we always ask, because quite a lot of our conversations on tech care are with founders like yourself, with people that have done something that wasn't there some years back and are now trying to convey this into the world. We ask about barriers. What have been the worst barriers you've come across with Ultra?
That's a
If
great
you've come up with
question.
any.
Yeah, that is a great question, Morton. I would say one of the biggest barriers, and you've probably seen this yourself with with um when you're sort of communicating with care homes. I'd say the biggest barrier is reluctance to change,
Hmm?
mm,
either within the care home itself, so the teams in a care home, or on a group perspective. It's We've always done things this way, it's worked, why bother change it? I'd say that would
Mm.
be one of the bigger barriers that we would come across.
Yeah.
So from our perspective, it's about trying to convey why it's better, why it's easier, how it saves you time, exactly this type of stuff that you guys would come up against as well.
Yeah.
mm,
And how do you think when you're then successful, and I can definitely see, and all our listeners can go onto the Ultra website and read the very, very cool testimonials you've got on there. But when you've got customers onboarding, what are then the traditional either barriers or enablers or promoters that you see?
Um, the promoters, well, definitely it's the easy use of the app. That is
Yeah.
by far the most important thing of any software or tech that you're
mm,
trying to bring into an organization, be it a care home or any other type of organization. It has to be easy to use. And if you see from the testimonials, as you say there, Morton, that is probably one of the overriding factors of Altra
Mm.
and its adoption rate is its ease of use.
Mm.
If it's not easy to use, if it's not part of, if it doesn't become part of their daily sort of use or weekly use, it'll just sit there like something else that
mm,
they get, and it's not used.
And I think
mm,
the ease of use and getting that first hand and fresh experience of actually, I can do this also helps bite that reluctance
Yes.
snake in the back, right? Doesn't it? Because
Yes.
I think we've all been there when we're trying to implement and we're trying to make sure that even those people that feel a bit worried at the beginning of it, once they just get the app in the hand and start registering the few bits for my part at least, and I imagine having the first conversations,
Yeah.
with Ultra, just elevates everything.
Yeah. There
Really,
was
the use
one.
of that
Sorry.
no, it's really the use of the our systems really out there that advocates more and more, isn't it?
Yes, and it's one thing that we see with Altra a lot is the spread of word of mouth
Mm.
with users in different care homes. Say if they move to another care home, they want to bring Altra with them.
Mm.
This happens time and time again, and that sort of thing you can't buy it. It is all based on the tech and how they've used it.
Mm.
One thing that you can do, like you can provide the best training in the world, but if they're not using it week in week out, it's no use.
Exactly. So, what's next for Ultra?
What's next? Global domination.
I like that. I like that.
So we're actually we are doing it now. We're rolling out with a large group across Europe. We've started with Belgium and France, and that will include Portugal, Spain, Germany, Austria, Netherlands over the next 12 months. So that's quite a large project that we're working on. We're hiring a lot of new team members now. We've just hired our COO, Sebastian, in France. So that's really, really exciting this month. And what else? We have a lot of product pipeline in. Sorry, we've got a lot of product development in our pipeline.
We've got Simon Smoke with us too. I love that. We've not had him with us before.
I
Oh,
think you
that's
lost what I was saying about the product development.
yeah. No more product promises here.
But yeah, we've got a lot of product development around an education hub for families. And what this will entail is user generated content from groups themselves, but then also from Altra. And what we
Mm.
mean by this is, say, for example, we have a new resident joining a specific care home. That resident has dementia. So this is all logged within the resident profile. Through the education hub for families, we're able to push out articles and resources specific to um, dementia, what to expect when a resident joins a care home in the first week, what to expect for the first month, a typical day for a resident, this type of stuff. So it'll be ultra specific content, but then also user generated content from the specific groups. That's something that we're working on, and I see it being a big part of the app as well because families want this information, and being able to push it in a simple, simplistic way is very, very important.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great point to have because, we were talking about the emotional struggle people feel when they send their loved ones to care homes, and obviously dementia is one area where I guess everyone is learning even more as days goes by, specifically what to expect, how it progresses, and if you are trying to solve that, give confidence to the family members about that journey. I think that's a fantastic expansion of your tool. So well done on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And on that new customer, that sounds like a mind blowing rollout across all of Europe almost. Wow.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but it's a good idea to keep the pace down to begin with at least.
Yes,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
Actually, we're around the 20-minute mark, and Sanga, we've come up with a new thing this year that I think you're gonna
Yep,
go on
yep,
at now.
yep. So two questions. This is what we are trialing. It's our second episode, this one for this season, and obviously we want to ask you two questions. The first question is, what is your prediction for next 12 years? 12 years? 12 months? Oh my God. For
Oops.
social care.
Take the long ones too if you've got.
Predictions for the next 12 months. Well, I think in the UK and Ireland in particular, well, really it's across Europe, there's the staffing issue is a huge one, but more so I think on the pricing side from a government paying perspective, it is just far too low. It has not increased in God knows how long. And this pressure, it's going to break at some point. And the only thing that's going to happen is worse outcomes for residents. This needs to be solved. Will it be solved in 12 months? Absolutely not. But this is something that the pressure needs to be put on governments in Ireland, the UK, across Europe, that the current structure does not work. It's not fit for purpose.
It certainly, most certainly isn't. And looking at the actual cost of operating care homes, making sure of the right outcomes, it's almost ridiculous, and it's a laugh.
Yeah.
You're so right. I'd really like your prediction to fall through for a lot of people. Yeah, that would be fantastic, and we'll all emphasize that.
Yes, absolutely.
No, thanks for that prediction. So coming to the second point, which is, what is one question that you would want to ask our next guest, whom obviously you don't know?
That is a great question as well. And I can't take the one, how did you get started? Because that was the question that was asked by the previous guest.
Well, depending on who it is, we can ask them, how did you finish?
I've got a question for them. What is the hardest part of their job?
Good question.
Fantastic.
Scribbling. So
yeah.
I've got about 10 answers for that one.
Yeah, we will ask them, provided they don't just use ChatGPT for that answer, I hope. No, fantastic. Thank you so much, Adam, for joining us, for sharing your story, your vision, and the great things that you're doing. I'm so excited about Altra, and hope to speak with you soon.
Thanks very much, guys. It was an absolute pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, review, and share your favorite Take Care podcast with your friends and colleagues. Until we meet next week,